Okay, in the last video we were looking at doing frequency distributions for categorical data. This is the data that, as we spoke about, it can't be calculated. It's not numeric values. So now we want to take a look at frequency distributions for numeric data, right? For quantitative data. So we're using the audit data table, and if you open up the Excel spreadsheet audit data from the student data files, this is going to be the only information you're going to see. So what I've done is just went ahead and formatted for ease of use some of this so that we can have it'll be easier to look at. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is the bins. The number of bins that is recommended is that we have between 5 and 20 bins. At this point, the bin width doesn't really matter, but the bin limits do. And when we look at this information, we can see that the lowest value is 12 and the highest value is 33. And so we want to put these bins in categories. So 12 to 33 was at 11. We're going to put these in the categories of 10 to 14. This is going to be our bin, is going to be 10 to 14. And as it stands right here, you're going to have 10 to 14 is fine, but when you hit enter, it's going to bring up a date. And we don't want date information for this. We actually want either the text or number. So we want to right click on that field, and we're going to format the cell. And we're going to tell it to be a number. Actually, let's go back. Let's make it a text. And we're going to say 10 to 24 or 10 to 14. Okay, so that makes it easier. And we'll go ahead and format that for the rest of them as well. So that they're all text. And I'll just go ahead and straighten that out. So the second bin, the number 2 category, is going to be 15 to 19. The next one, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, and 30 to 34. And this encompasses all possibilities for this particular data set. All right, so the thing of it is you have to have the number of bins, the bin width, and the bin limits. Those are the 3 things. So we've identified basically a lower limit and an upper limit for each of the 5 bins that we've created. Okay, and now we want to be able to calculate what's in these particular bins. How many numbers between 10 and 14? Right? How many numbers between 15 and 19? So in Excel, we can do this by first highlighting the upper limits of each bin. All right, so this is just by the book, and if you go to B10, we're going to put the upper limit of that first bin, number 1, is 14, 19, 24, 29, 34. All right, so that seems easy enough. So let's go ahead and look at the frequency. So how are we going to figure this out? Fortunately, Excel can figure this out for you, which is great. Okay, so now we wanted to calculate the frequency of each of these bins with the upper limits, and we can do that on page 33. So the first thing we want to do is select cells B10 to B14. So this is going to be your quick and dirty way, I guess. So B10 to B14, right? And we're going to type in the formula equals frequency. Since frequency is already there, we're going to double click that. The data array, this argument here for the first part, is going to be the data array. So that's going to be this range of information. And then you can see there's a comma in that syntax, so we're just going to put a comma. and then the bins array. Now the bins array is this information over here, and of course you can't see the first one because this formula is in the way. So that's okay. We can go ahead and just go from the bottom up, and it'll appear for you, and then you can have that range will be in there. Now, it doesn't matter that it's going from the bottom up or the top down. It's still, as you can see here in the formula, it goes from A10 to A14. So it's actually put it in an order anyway. It's kind of logical that way. So we go ahead and close that with a closed parentheses. And then before we hit enter, we're going to go to step 3, the very bottom of page 33. And we're going to hold Control Shift key down and enter. And what that does is it fills all of these at the same time. If you didn't hold the Control key down and hit enter and just hit enter, you would only have this first one filled out, and that wouldn't work out too well for you. So alright, so from that point, look at the next page, we're going to look at histograms. So we can take this information here and we can either copy it or just drag it over to frequency to kind of complete our table that we've started over here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy it and paste it. No, okay, that's not going to work. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste special, which is going to give me the values. You can see what's going to happen if you go to paste special and you have these paste options. Alright, I just want the values. That's all I care about. So I'm going to hit values. Alright, and then so let's save that for a second. Alright, so the relative frequency. If we know that we're trying to get the relative frequency, we need to know the total value, right, the number. So we're going to do auto sum. We know that there are 20 instances in this table, right? And we want to find out what's the relative frequency for the 10 to 14 category. So we're going to do equals this H2 divided by the total number, H7, and hit enter. So the frequency is 0.2. I'll go ahead and format this so that it's, and this one too, so we'll do that ahead of time. And so we want to do that for the rest of them, and if we're going to spread it down, we actually need to do an absolute reference to H7. So we're just going to do it this way, enter, and then just spread it down. Now this should equal to 1, so I'm going to just go down to the bottom, sum it up, equal to 1. Alright, and then for this, we know that we want all of this to equal percentage. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and put percentage in format, and then it's going to equal 0.2, gives us 20%, and then just spread it all down so that it equals 100%. So there we have our distribution. We have the audit times in the bins that are categorized, the frequency and the relative frequency amounts, and then the percentage of frequency. So we can evaluate that information and see where the strengths and weaknesses are of the data. All right.